Hello everybody. I wanted to tell you about this one fact that Java is still one of the most demanded programming language in most of the top MNC companies. Out of so many new programming languages coming into the market, Java programming language still stands out. That means still there are companies looking out for Java developers. Now, keeping this fact in mind, we focused on some of our students' suggestions on bringing a video covering one of the most amazing concepts in Java known as interface. So here we are with this video where we will try to understand the concept of interface in detail. So without wasting much time, let's get started. Before we get started, I want to introduce you to Great Learning Academy, a free initiative by Great Learning. You can access over 200 plus courses with 1000 plus hours of free content on trending high demand domains absolutely free. Register now to complete the course and get your free certificate of completion. Check out the link in the description of the video below. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell so that you don't miss out on any new updates or video releases from Great Learning. If you enjoy this video, show us some love and like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing. So make sure you share this video with your friends and colleagues. Make sure to comment on the video, any queries or suggestions, and I will respond to your comments. So now that we are in the agenda slide, let's look upon what all topics and what all concepts we are going to cover in this particular video. So first of all, we are going to start with understanding that what is this interface, right? What is this interface? What is the purpose of it, correct? And then we are going to see that why do we use interface? What are the main reasons that we have to use interface in some of the programming concepts? The next, we are going to see that how do we actually write this interface thing? What is the actual syntax of it? And then we are going to see a lot of examples based on interface, which will be covering all the concepts inside it. The next, we are going to read the rules of interface. That means what are the different rules that covers inside interface. If you're not accepting those rules or if you're not, focusing on that rules, that means you will get an error in your program. And the last topic, we are going to understand that how a multiple inheritance can be achieved via interface in Java programming language. So these are all the concepts that we are going to cover in this particular video. Now let's get started with the first one in our agenda, which is nothing but what is interface. So basically we are going to understand in this topic that what is actually interface. Now to understand interface, we have to understand some of the pointers that I have noted down in this particular slide. So let's read it through and understand that what are the pointers written inside it. So the first one is interface is similar to class. Now, the beginners who are watching this video, there must be a prerequisite for you. That is nothing but you should understand what is class and object, right? Now, interface is basically similar to a class, right? How do you write a class in Java programming language? The same way we write the interface. An interface can have methods and variables. As I said, class is also having methods and variables. So does interface. Interfaces are the blueprint of the class. It specifies what a class must do and not how. Now, this particular point you should be keeping in your mind for right now. That means interfaces basically specifies what a class must do. And it is not telling that how you should do it. It is just saying that what a class must do. What is the meaning of it? Why we are writing this statement here, we'll understand when we'll write the program. So keep this statement in your mind. We will understand it once you will write the program on interface. The next one. Now here comes the major point of interface. The most important point of interface, which is an interface is a fully abstract class. Now, if you don't know what is abstract class, don't worry, just in a minute I'm going to tell you what is abstract class. But for a brief, I'm just going to tell you that abstract class are those classes in which some of the methods are defined and some of the methods are not defined. Okay, so that is what an abstract class means. An interface is a fully abstract class. That means interfaces are having all the methods as abstract. Now, this point you have to keep in your mind. I know that we are just reading the theory right now, but these theory things are important so that you can understand the practical program also. The next statement says the method declared in an interface are by default abstract. So all the methods declared in an interface are by default abstract. That means there'll be only the method signature and there'll be no body. That means that it will be only declared. There'll be no definition for any of the methods in an interface. So we have understood here some of the points. The next, another way to achieve abstraction in Java is with interface, right? Next, an interface is completely an abstract class that is used to group related methods with empty bodies. Now, if you look here, these 4 points are telling the same thing, right? Just in different statements. What is it? The thing is that an interface, suppose if this is an interface, inside this interface, whatever method you will write, these all methods will be and must be abstract. These all methods should be abstract. There should not be even one single method which is properly defined. All the methods should be not defined, only declared. So all these 4 pointers are telling the same thing, that interface is a fully abstract class. Now let's jump to the practical and understand that what is this abstraction. So if you look at an abstraction example, let's take a real world example and understand what is this abstraction. So if I talk about a TV, right, a television. Now, if I'm a small child and my father is telling it to me that, hey, I have bought a TV. Do you know how to use it? Obviously, if I'm a small child, I won't be able to know what is this TV, right? I must be only knowing the start on off button, correct? Only that much. So if I have a class television, I don't know how this volume works. So I have not defined that method. I don't know how the thumb scanner works in a television. So I have not defined that. I don't know how the camera works in a smart TV. So I have not defined that. But I do know how to switch on or switch off the television. So that I have defined here. So that method I have defined. Now the methods which you have not defined are abstract. And that is why we have written here abstract keyword. But in the start on of method, we have not written the keyword abstract. Obviously, because we have defined it, right? Now, the rule says of abstraction that if one of the method is abstract, that means your class also becomes abstract. And that is why in class also it's written abstract. Perfect. So that means abstraction is nothing but when you have some methods which is defined and some methods which are not defined. Those classes will be abstract classes. So now this particular abstract class, we cannot create an object of it. Why can't we create an object of it? Because all the details are not provided about this class. If all the details are not provided of this class, constructor cannot be used here. If constructor cannot be used, the new keyword cannot be used. If the new keyword cannot be used, an object cannot be created. That is the reason we have to use a class which will inherit some properties, not some, basically all the properties from this abstract class. And whatever method is not defined in the abstract class, those all methods will be defined in this class. So volume will be defined, then here the thumb scanner will be defined, then here the camera will be defined. So now we have a class, a proper class where all the methods are now defined, right? So now we can create a main method and we can create an object of that class. Now we are not creating an object of the television abstract class. Obviously, because we can't create an object of abstract class, right? So we are creating an object of the class smart TV, and using that we are calling the function volume and camera. So volume we have written here, so it will print I know how to increment, decrement the volume. And for camera also, this I'll be written here. So it will say, I know how to use the camera option in Smart TV. Right? So this is how abstraction works. But our video, this one is not related to abstraction. This is related to interface. Then why am I teaching abstraction? Because once you know the concept of abstraction, it will be very easy for you to understand interface, because interfaces are nothing but abstract class, right? So have a look. Now interface program, have a look what I have done. We have seen the 4 pointers and we have understood that interface basically contains all the abstract methods. That means there will not be any one method which will be defined. All the methods will be only declared. They will not be defined. So you'll have interface television. Start on off, I don't know. My dad is bringing me a TV. I don't know what the hell is that. I don't know what is it, right? I don't know any button. I can't see any button. It's just a black screen. So I don't know what is it. I don't know anything about it. Start on off, I don't know. Volume, I don't know. Camera, I don't know. So in this particular class, I don't know anything, and that is why these all methods are abstract. And that is why this class becomes interface. So it's very easy, guys. In abstraction, remember this particular sentence which I'm going to say, and keep it noted if you have a notebook and a pen in your hand. So in abstraction, we have the methods defined and declared, and some of the methods only declared, not defined. The methods which are not defined will become abstract methods. And if there is at least one abstract method in the class becomes abstract class. When it comes to interface, a class becomes an interface if all the methods of that class are abstract methods. All the methods. So this is what is the situation. Now we have to create a class Smart TV which will implement television. Now what is this word implement? We will see later on. Void start on off, we have declared it here. Then volume, we have declared it here. Obviously the camera also we have to declare it here, right? Now once everything is declared and defined in the class, we can create an object of this class and we can call some of the functions which I want to call. So this is my whole program of interface. But is that it? We have understood what is interface and that's it? No, right? We have just now understand that what is interface. That's a very small thing. We have a lot more to do in this particular video. So now let's see, why do we use interface? What is the reason behind it? The three main reasons why do we need interface are, it is used to achieve abstraction, which I have shown you, right? You guys must have understood that yes, interface is used to achieve abstraction. But the question here is, if abstraction is already there, then why do we need interface? Good question, right? If abstraction is already there, if same concept is already there, then why come this interface is covering, right? We will see and we will answer that question for you as well. The next main reason is nothing but to support the functionality of multiple inheritance. Now, if you guys know and have learned about the basic concepts of Java, you must be knowing that multiple inheritance concept cannot be achievable in Java programming language. But using interface, you can do that. Do you want to know how? Just stick to this video. The last topic we are going to cover, and we are going to see how multiple inheritance can be achieved using interface. The next main reason is it is used to achieve loose coupling. Okay, perfect. Now, when we have understood these three main reasons, now is the time that we have to understand the writing syntax of interface, that how do we actually write it. Now here, the main reason of covering this topic is that there are many versions of Java, and in each of the versions, there are some updations related to interface. Let's see one by one what are those updations. So we write the interface keyword in the syntax, and then we write the interface name. The interface name can be anything. Then we write the methods. Now these methods are by default public abstract. Okay. Because obviously interfaces will have all the methods abstract, right? So even if you don't write the keyword abstract or public, compiler will cover it up. Compiler will tell that this method is public abstract. Okay. Next one, fields. That means data members or variables. So if you're writing that fields, by default, compiler will place public static final in front of your fields. So all the fields in your interface should be public, static, and final. These things you need to remember, guys, because these are some of the, you can say, syntax, which if you will give an error, if you will write here private fields, then obviously your particular program will give an error. Let's see what is the updation happened in Java 8 version. So in Java 8, they have told us that you can actually write the concrete methods also. What is the meaning of concrete method? Concrete methods are those methods which can be defined. Okay. So in abstraction, we can have concrete methods and we can have non-concrete methods, right? In interface, we can only have non-concrete methods, correct? Now it is saying that in Java 8, they have told that you can write concrete methods also. But then what will be the difference between abstraction and interface, right? Here they have mentioned that you can write default concrete method, not public concrete method. So you can write default concrete method where you will use the access modifier of default, but you can't use public, okay? So it's not the same again, right? Abstraction and interface, again, it's not the same. There is a difference. Okay, what next? So in Java 8, they've also told that you can also write static methods. That is also possible. You can write static methods, but public methods, they won't allow. Okay, next, Java 9. Now they have said that private methods also you can mention. So you can write now private access modifiers also, you can use that and you can write the method also. The only thing which you cannot use here is the concrete public methods. You can't define concrete methods here. Okay, perfect. So we have understood the syntax, and now is the time that I need to answer the question that why we use interfaces when we have abstract classes. Now understand this answer very carefully. The reason is abstract classes may contain non-final variables. Abstract classes may contain non-final variables because many abstract classes allow the concrete methods also, and concrete methods can be non-final, right? Whereas variables in interfaces are final, public, and static. All the fields are public, static, and final. Okay, in abstract, we can have non-final variables also. This is the reason. This is the main difference of abstract and interface. Correct? Now let's see some of the examples because we have now understood the syntax. So let's see some examples of interface. The first example will be very simple. Just have a look. So this is just a very simple example where I'm using all the kind of methods, all the kind of variables. Void show, which is undefined. So it's an abstract method. Then we have the public static final int a equal to 20. That means it's the variable, is the field, right? Now focus here that I have written the code like this, but in compiler it will come like this. Compiler will add all the default parts, okay? All default keywords. Then we have the default concrete method, right? It's concrete. Why? Because it is defined. Then we have the static method, right? We are using the static keyword. Then we have the private method, correct? So this is a very basic example of interface. And now we will jump into one of the examples where we will be showing how this default method, which was, introduced in Java 8th version, correct? We will see how this example works. So now understand this example very carefully. So I have an interface which is named as place. Now obviously that means all the methods inside this will not be defined. It will be only declared. So okay, I have one method which is void live. and that is only declared. That means it's an abstract. So public abstract void live. But I have also used here one default method where I've used the default access modifier, and I'm saying that's a message method which says this is the default method. Perfect. I can use this. There's no error. Next, I'm creating a class and I'm inheriting this particular interface. Okay. Now understand that whenever you are inheriting from a class and interface, we use the keyword implements. Okay. And whenever we do it from a class and a class, we use extends keyword. You should remember that, right? But don't worry, in the rules, when we'll come to the rules of interface, we'll again see this concept. So don't worry about that. Okay, now what we are doing is we are writing here. Basically, we are defining our method, which was not defined in the interface. So we did not define live method, right? Now here in this class, we are defining it. That living in Jharkhand, correct? Okay, now is the time that we should create our main method. So in main method, have a look what I'm doing. Place P equal to new Jharkhand. So basically, place P equal to new Jharkhand means P is an object of Jharkhand, right? Now P.live will directly go where? P.live will directly go to the Jharkhand's class, and inside that it will find whether the live method is defined or not. So yes, it is defined and it will print living in Jharkhand. Next is P.message. So P.message, that means it will directly go to again my Jharkhand class. But here the message is not defined. But Jharkhand class is inheriting the properties, all the properties from the place interface. So it will jump from here to interface. Interface, we have the default message, which is this is the default method. So now these both will be printed. This is how you will use an interface example with default method. I hope you guys have understood this. Now let's move to the next example in which we will see the static method example. So again, we have the same interface place. We have the undefined live method, which is public abstract void live. And then we have the static method, the area. Okay, that means the place area. What is the kilometer square space area? Okay, let's see the class. So in the class, we have done the same thing. We have defined our non-defined abstract class, right? We have defined it here. And now is the time for the main section. So in the main class, main method, what we have done, we have created an object of Jharkhand, which is P. Now P.live will directly go to the Jharkhand's class because P is an object of Jharkhand, and thus it will print living in Jharkhand. Next, what we are going to do is we are doing system.out.println place.area. Now see, if you remember about static methods, right, or static keyword, what happens in static keywords? Whenever you use a static keyword, you have to directly access those method or those variables using the class name or the interface name. Okay, you have to directly access those methods which are static by directly using the class name or interface name. So we are doing that. Place, we are directly using the interface name here, dot area 43. So it will directly go from here to place interface, and here it will go to area. In X, it will pass the argument 43. 43 into 43 into 43. You have to calculate that, and that much is the exact area of Jharkhand. Right? So this is how this program will work. So why have I written this example to show you the static method? Because of this particular line. The way it was happening in default method, it is not the same way it happens in static because it's static keyword, right? Static keyword always wants a class name or an interface name directly to be used. Perfect. Now let's jump to the next topic, which is our rules of interface. So now is the time that we are going to see one by one all the different kind of rules which is applied in interface. So when you're writing a program on interface, you have to make sure that these rules are known by you and you know about all these basic rules, right? So let's see the first rule. Like abstract classes, interfaces cannot be used to create objects. In abstract classes, we cannot create objects. Same likewise, in interface also, we cannot create object. That is why in the previous examples, we have used a basic class to inherit all the properties from the interface classes, right? Okay. The next one, a class extends another class. An interface extends another interface, but a class implements an interface. So this particular point is nothing but related to the inheritance. When you're inheriting a class from a different class, we use the word extends. When we inherit interface with an interface, we use the word extends. But when we do it from a class and interface, we use the word implements. And that is what we did in the previous example, correct? Next rule, interface methods do not have a body. This though we know now, right? That interface methods will not have a body. The body is provided in the implemented class. This also we have seen in the previous example, implemented class, that means the down class. So in the down class, all the methods should have the body and must have the body, correct? The next rule, interface methods are by default abstract and public. This we have seen in the syntax, correct? I hope you remember. And interface fields are by default public, static and final. This also we have seen in the syntax. Next rule, on achieving inheritance on interface, you must override all its method in the class. All the methods. Even if you have 5 to 6 methods which are not defined, which doesn't have the body, you have to define it in the next inherited classes. You have to do it. The next rule, an interface cannot contain a constructor as it cannot be used to create objects. Obviously, because you don't have the total information about your interface or about your abstract class. That means a constructor use is not very much benefit there, right? That means you can't use a constructor, obviously followed by that you can't use new keyword. If you can't use new keyword, that means you can't create an object. Perfect. So these are the rules of interface. Now what? Now let's see some more examples and understand applying these rules, these all rules. So if you look at this example, the first one, the television one, right? Now you must be understanding this whole example that what I have written. So I have a television interface in which I don't know anything about it. So all the methods are just declared. These are not defined. All the methods are having only the structure, not the body. So you have understood the rules, right? The next, that your class should implement the interface. So another rule, right? Implement. And then whatever your class is implementing, then all the methods inside the interface should be defined. So first method is defined, second method is defined, third method is defined, right? And then done. So this was the third rule. Then again, in the main method, we are creating the smart TV object. And then why we are creating the smart TV object? Because that is our class. Because we can't create the object of the interface, right? So we are creating the object of a smart TV and then we are calling whatever functions we want to call from there. So this is one perfect example of interface where we have used all the rules very effectively. Next example, let's see one more. Now, interface place and then void live. Okay. So this is one interface in which I have the public abstract void live method, which is not having the body. So it is just declared. Perfect. So this interface is good enough. Next one, what I've done, I've created a class which is called as Jharkhand. So obviously it will implement, right? If you're doing inheritance, it will implement the place interface. After that, what I'm doing, obviously I have to define my method which is not defined in interface. So I'm doing that, right? Next, what I'm doing, I am creating another class. And then again inside that, I am providing the body of my method. Can you see this? Now what I'm doing in the main method, what I'm going to do, I am going to create an object of only Jharkhand class. I'm not creating an object of Uttar Pradesh. I'm creating an object of Jharkhand. So if I'm writing p.live, obviously it will directly go where? It will directly go to this place, right? Why? Because this p object is of Jharkhand and we are using p.live. So it'll go to the live method of Jharkhand class and it'll print living in Jharkhand. Correct? Okay. If you will create an object of Uttar Pradesh here and then you will use that object to call the live function, then it will print living in Uttar Pradesh. But right now in this example, I am not doing that. Correct? So I hope you have understood this particular example in which you have two classes implementing the same interface and having the same methods. I hope you have understood this example because this is what is an example of overriding. Correct? Next, move to the next topic, which is nothing but multiple inheritance by interface. So in this topic, we are going to understand that why this multiple inheritance is not achievable in Java. And then we are going to understand that using interface, how can we achieve that? Now understand and focus in this particular topic because this is going to be really very beneficial for you because in most of the interviews, this topic is asked. This question is asked. Now, if suppose I have a class, okay, let's do a normal revision of inheritance. First of all, what is that, right? So there's no interface in this example, okay, no interface. This is just a normal class with having one variable, which is number of accounts, and then having one method, which is show, right? Very simple class. Then we are extending, that means we are inheriting a class son from father. Obviously, a son can be extended with the father. So all these properties, that means this particular variable and this particular method will come here also. Even if we are not writing that, in son it is there. Correct? Now sun is also having its own property. What is that? Complexion, which is fair. So this is one property which sun is having on its own. I hope you are getting it. So now what we are doing the main method and then we are creating an object of sun, which is a. Number of accounts I'm printing, a dot number of account. So if this a is an object of sun, it will go directly where? It will go to son's class, but number of account is not here. So it will see that it is extending father, it will directly go from here to here and it will print 4. Why? Because I have the value 4 here. Correct? Let's go to the next one. System.out.println and a dot show. A dot show, that means a object. So again sun. So again this particular thing will go to sun. But here again we don't have that method. So it will again bounce back and come to the father class. Now here we have the show method and its printing balance amount is rupees 56 lakhs. Perfect. Next one. Complexion of the sun. A dot complexion. Again a, that means the sun's object. So this complexion will directly go to our sons and you can see complexion fair is given here. So it will print fair. Perfect. This is an example of a basic single inheritance. Correct? Okay, great. Now that we have understood the example of single inheritance, there was no problem. Everything is perfect. We'll get the output without any error. Let's see what are the different types of inheritance. We have single inheritance where I've shown you the example of son and a father. The next is multi-level inheritance where I've shown you the example of father, son and grandson. Right? Now, if you remember the example where I've used the single inheritance, I can have the methods here, right? I can have the methods in father. I can have the methods in son. I can also have the methods in grandson. And there will be no problem. Similarly, in hierarchical inheritance, we can also have the same thing. Right? So these all inheritance works fine in Java because we can write the program and we can write the methods. We can call it directly. When it comes to multiple inheritance, there comes the problem. But the question is, why multiple inheritance is not supported through class in Java? Why is it so? What is the reason? This question is very, very important, and it has been asked from last 4 to 5 years in most of the interviews. Whenever you're going for an interview for a Java developer, this will be asked, definitely asked. Now, what is the reason? Let's see. So, suppose that this is what multiple inheritance looks like, right? Father is having a method which is name, okay? Mother is also having a method which is name. When you will come to son, obviously this will extend both father and mother. Both father and mother class, it will extend. That means father's property, which is the name method, will also come in son. And mother's property, which is the name method, will also come in son. Right? Now, if you are creating a particular object of son, let's say A, and then you're calling the name method, now this particular object will get confused whether I should go to father's name method or whether I should go to mother's name method. So there comes the ambiguity. Because there are two methods of same name and there is one object, now you are confused whether I should print the statement which is inside the father's name method or mother's name method, right? This is the reason why there is an ambiguity and why multiple inheritance is not supported through class in Java. Through class, okay? What is the reason that this question is telling through class? Because through interface, it can be. How? Let's see. I hope you have understood the problem which you face in multiple inheritance when using a class. But let's see what happens when you're using interface. So I have written a particular problem here, which you can see. Interface father. Now I know that father is the interface. That means my method will not be defined. Again, I have interface mother. My method will not be defined here as well because it's an interface. But my class is son and it is implementing father and mother. Now, because the son is a class, so it has to actually define the method which is not defined in mother and father interface. So it is defined here. Now, if you create an object of son, which is nothing but the object of the only class, which is the son, and it is written s.name, obviously it will directly go to only one of the method which is written here. Because in interface it can't go. In both the interfaces it can't go because there it is not defined. There is only one place where the name method is defined, which is here. And thus your multiple inheritance is achieved. So these two are having the same method void name, and the definition for the method void name I have written inside the class. And thus multiple inheritance is achieved, but using interface. So I hope you understood the concept behind the multiple inheritance. Why is it not achieved through class and why is it achieved through interface? And this is what was all about interface concept in Java. I hope you liked this video very much and I hope you understood the concept of interface very deeply and very thoroughly. So I hope you liked this video. Thank you so much for watching and giving time. I hope you get success and have a great learning. All the best. I want to introduce you to Great Learning Academy, a free initiative by Great Learning. You can access over 200 plus courses with 1000 plus hours of free content on trending high demand domains absolutely free. Register now to complete the course and get your free certificate of completion. Check out the link in the description of the video below. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell so that you don't miss out on any new updates or video releases from Great Learning. If you enjoyed this video, show us some love and like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing. So make sure you share this video with your friends and colleagues. Make sure to comment on the video, any queries or suggestions, and I will respond to your comments.